Hey guys, welcome to Code Decode. Today in this video, we are going to cover some very basic but very tricky string interview questions. So let's get started.
Please like, share and subscribe to support us, and we are setting a like target of 500 likes.
How many different ways are there to create a string object? So there are basically two ways to create a string object using the literal and using the new keyword. So let's see with the demo how we can create them. So the very first way is to create string s1 with a direct assignment to code, suppose. So what do you think this is? This is a string literal and this is assigned to a reference which is pointing to s1. And what is the second way to do that? It's string s2 equals to using a new keyword and using a constructor of string class, which is a single parameterized constructor, and we pass our literal here. So what's the difference between both of them? So the difference between both of them is that s1 is created in string constant pool while s2 creates an object in heap and simultaneously collects an objects in string constant pool also. Confused? Let's see how it actually works. This is my heap. This is my string constant pool. So when you create a string s1 with a little code, an object is created here which is pointed by s1. So when string is created with double quotes, JVM searches for it in string constant pool. And string constant pool is nothing but an area allocated in heap. We'll see what is string constant pool in a second. If the same value is found, it is returned as the reference to string. Else, a new object is created in string constant pool and that is returned to you. What is string constant pool? So string constant pool is nothing but a memory space allocated in heap memory to store the string literals. So that's what I said. This is called as literal. When you assign it with a double quote, it is a literal assignment. So whenever you assign it literal to a string, then a special memory in heap memory called as string constant pool gets the area for that object creation. The unique thing is no two string objects in the string constant pool can have the same value. Each and every object in this particular pool is going to be unique. So if I try to do string s3 equals to code, what will happen? S3 will also point to this only. And how can I prove it to you? I can prove it with a simple comparison of S1 and S3. So if S1 and S3 are equal, it will print you true. Let's see if it prints you true. So yes, it prints you true. That means S1 and S3 are pointing at the same area in the string constant pool. Now, the very important thing is, why has Java provided the string constant pool to you if the heap memory is already present? So string constant pools provides you the facility to reuse the existing object. So here if you can see, your string S1 is also pointing to code, S3 is also pointing to code. JVM understood that these are the same objects. Why do you want to create different memories for the same type of value of string? So that is why to reuse the string value, they have provided you a string constant pool. Now, so if you try to create a string S4 in the similar way like this, are they also going to point to the same memory area? So string S2 creates an object in heap area. So where is S2 going to point? So this is remaining is my heap area. This was string constant pool. This is string constant pool. This is my heap area. So a new object with code is being pointed by S2 here. Now you'll say S4 is also doing new using the same constructor with the code as the literal. So S4 also should be able to point to S2. The answer is no, because the reason is you are using a new keyword and new keyword always creates a new object in the heap area. So now what will happen is again another object with the same literal code will be created in heap and is pointed by S4. How will I prove that to you? This S2 equals to S4 should print you false. So first my console should print me true. It says literals are pointing to the same area. These two literals are pointing to the same memory area. But these two are pointing to different memory areas. So the next should be printed as false. So first is true. Yes, string literals are pointing to the same string constant pool. And heap is not able to reutilize memory. Though they have the same string literal, that is code, still the two new objects are created and hence they are not equal and hence the false. So that is why string constant pool was introduced in Java. That is to facilitate the reusability of the existing objects, string objects. So when a new string is created using the string literals, JVM first check in the pool if string already exists or not. In our case, S1 was already pointing to code. When you try to print S3 with code, it says, okay, is there any code existing here? Yes, it is. It will point that particular reference to the same object in string constraint pool, rather than creating a new object, and hence you reutilize the space in string constraint pool. What will this help you in? This will help you in speeding up your application performance, and also helps you save the memory, because memory is actually a very pricey thing. So no two objects will have the same content in the string constraint pool. So there will never be a case that one object is code, another object is also the code. The same as which is possible in heap. It is never possible in string constraint pool.
Last 2 years have been crazy with respect to job layoffs, pay cuts, whatnot. But one thing we have realized that it's easy to get hired across the globe and it's easy to work with people despite the distances. This also means that prove your skill, get a job. This is exactly what Relevel by Unacademy do. Relevel is India's first hiring test platform where you just appear for a single test, you qualify, you get hired to India's top product-based companies. No resume, no work experience, no college degree is needed. All these jobs are in India's top companies like Swiggy, PhonePe, Cred, Ola, Paytm and 200 plus. The best part is Trust is absolutely free. They don't charge you anything and you can get into any of these verticals like sales, HR, web development, product management, analytics, and Relevel has recently introduced 3 new tests: digital marketing, software testing and blockchain developer test. With Relevel you are eligible to all these companies despite the number of attempts. So you don't have to worry for the cool down period. Like if you give an interview you have to wait for 6 months. Here there is nothing like that. Relevel has delivered 16 crores worth of job till date, and last month 15 lakhs of jobs were delivered every single day. You can also check candidates' Twitter handle for the details. All the rounds are conducted online at the convenience of your home and also at your convenient date. They have recently updated their qualification criteria also and reduced it from 700 to 500, which increases your chance of qualifying the Relevel test immensely. To celebrate the success of the candidate, they give goodie boxes every month to their achievers and also top 3 candidates the Apple product. You are just one sign up away for all these opportunities. Whether you are a fresher or a professional, you are eligible. A single test can define your career and it's absolutely free. Go and check out the Relevel today.
Now, let me remove everything, okay? So currently we come to the initial scenario where heap is empty and string constant pool is also empty. Now if I put string s1 equals to new string code, how many objects will be created with this line number 7? That is a very important interview question. So you might think that a new keyword is used, so only one object will be created, that too in heap. The answer is wrong. Because whenever you create an object in heap with this particular line number 7, one object is created in heap, but for the reusability purpose, what JVM will do is it will take this literal and also create one more object in string constant pool, so that next time, if you in any case do string s2 equals to code, JVM will have some object already present in string constant pool to return it to you. In any case, if you do it or not do it, JVM will do his task. So whenever you create an object like this, one object for sure, as can be seen, will be created in heap with code as the value and will always be pointed with S1. But JVM is smart enough to understand this code is something which can be reused again in application. So what will it do is it will create one more object in string constant pool and will leave it unattended. There will be no pointer which is pointing to code. Now you'll ask me, if there is no pointer to this code, will this not be garbage collected? The answer is no. String constant pool does not have given any right to garbage collect any of its object, because of the same reason of reusability. In future, there might be a case that this code can be reused by your application. So with just one single line of code, you will have 2 objects created, one in heap and one in string constant pool. Now the second question is, with string s1 equals to code and string s2 equals to new code, how many objects will be created? So string s1 equals to code, this is a literal assignment. So let's go to this again and let's empty our heap in string constant pool. Now string s1 equals to code, let's just focus on the first line. This is a literal assignment. And Java goes line by line because it is interpreted language. So the first line it encounters is string s1 equals to code, where this object will be created. Since it's literal assignment, object will be created in string constant pool with code as the literal value and it is pointed by s1. In the second line, string s2 equals to new string code. So the value is again the same. So usually in the previous slide, we see that 2 objects are here created. But now 2 objects will not be created. Why? Because object with the value as code is already present in SC. So S2 will only create one object in heap with code as the value. And the second object which JVM will think of creating an SC will not be created because it is already present and it is already pointed by S1. So that is why another object with the same code will not be created here, because it's the basic rule that no two objects in SCP should have a same value. So here with these two line of code also two objects are created, and here with just one single line also two objects are created. If this is not clear, you should let me know in the comment section. I'll create a very separate video on the same basic logic. This is interview question, that is I'm just hurrying up around. Now the third question is how many objects are created here now. Again, let's empty our heap in SCP. String S1 equals to new string code. So with this line of code, I can see my SCP is empty, my heap is empty. So first with a new keyword, obviously an object will be created in heap, which is pointed by the same reference S1 and value is code. But at line number 1 only, it sees, is my string constant pool having the same value as code? Next time, my application might use it literally. So JVM will go and create one object here also. But it will not be referenced with anybody, and it is safe also because garbage collector is not allowed here. So this is present by this point of time at line number 1 only. So at line number 1, two objects are already created. Now it goes to line number 2. It says new string. Again, it has to create one more object in code as code in heap, because a new operator is called and new always creates an object in the heap memory. Now at the line number 2, it says, okay, the JVM has created one area named as code referenced by S2 in heap memory. It constantly checks, is this code also present in SCP, because code might use it in future. It says yes, it is there. It will not create any duplicate object here now. So total by line number 1 there were 2 objects. By line number 2 there is only 1 object. A total of 3 objects are created. S1, the 2 objects will be created in heap and 1 in the string constant pool. And for S2 only 1 object will be created in heap, but no object will be created in string constant pool, because the same value is already present in string constant pool. So there is no duplication of same value in string constant pool. Now a very important question, how do you compare two strings? But there are 2 ways to compare. So I'll take an example here. So I've taken 2 examples. String S1 is pointing to a code but with a new operator is used, and string S2 is a literal assignment of the string code. So at line number 8, what will happen? A new object is created in heap. So new object with code is created in heap and pointed by S1. So now what will happen with line number 8? It says, oh, it's a new keyword. A heap is created, but JVM is smart enough. It will create one more object in SCP. But nothing will be pointing because S1 will be already pointing to code. Two objects cannot point at 2 different memory locations. It just cannot. So S1 is pointing to the heap memory area. Now S2 is code. So now it will not create any new object. Rather, S2 will start pointing to the existing SCP code object. So 2 objects are already created here. There is no new object created at line number 9. How will you compare these 2 strings? So for comparison, there are 2 ways. Either you compare with double equals to, or you compare with dot equals. Now remember, string is not a keyword. String is a class in Java. And that class has one single parameterized constructor which takes a literal and creates an object in heap using that literal as the value of that string. So that also overrides the equals in hash code method. So if you can see, equals is overridden. This double equal to compares the memory address. So when you go to this area, is S1 and S2 the same memory address? Answer is no. Hence, it will return you false. But dot equals to compares the content of the string. So is the content of S1 equals to the content of S2? So we can see it here itself, they are equal. So it will return you true, but the memories are different. As you can see here, the memories are 2 different areas. One is in string constant pool, one is in heap. That is why this will return you false. So if I run it, first should be false, second should be true. First should be false, second should be true. So these are 2 ways to compare your string. Now a very important interview question, and for sure people will ask this in interview when it comes to string, is that what does intern method do? So the task of intern method is to put the string which is passed to the intern method into the string constant pool. When an intern method is invoked, if the string constant pool already has the string equals to the string object is determined by the equals method and not double equal to, which is for reference comparison and not the content comparison, the string from the pool is returned. If it is not there, then a new object is created in string constant pool and that is returned. So in short, what does intern do? I'll show with an example, okay? I'll again empty my heap and string constant pool, and suppose my S1 is pointing to code. So where this object will be created S1? It will be in the string constant pool. So S1 will be pointing to the object in string constant pool named as code. With string S2 with a new object code, a new object is created in heap pointed by S2 with the content as code, and JVM will not copy this literal in string constant pool because it is already there. No duplication. Now, how will you prove that intern returns you the reference of the string constant pool? So suppose I do string s2 dot intern. What is the return type of intern method? It will return you a string. So suppose I take it in a string s3. Now, if I do intern on this, it will try and go to string constant pool and search for any object whose value is same as what you have passed. So the value of this string is code. So it will go in string constant pool and search for this code. And it will return you the reference to it. So the reference to it is given to S3 because string S3 equals to the operation intern is performed. So what operation intern is performed is went into string constant pool, searched for the name, code, if found, returned you the reference and stored it in S3. So how will I prove you that S3 is actually the interned reference returned from S2? I'll print S3 equals to S1. Why? Because S1 is already pointing to that object. If you interned on S2, S3 is actually pointing to S1. If it gives you yes, true. If it returns you true, that means S3 and S1 is pointing to the same object in string constant pool. And if you try to print S3 equals to S2, thinking that, oh, S3 is nothing but an intern of S2, it should be same. Answer should be no. It should return you false. So though S3 is nothing but an intern of S2, that doesn't mean S3 and S2 should be same. The task of intern is just to go into string constant pool, find the object and return that to you. So that's all about intern. Now a very important question, why string is made immutable in Java? So what does immutable means? Immutable means unmodifiable and unchangeable. For the security reason is the very important reason why Java people made string as immutable. The string in Java can be used to access many data sources like files, database, even objects found across networks. Even sometimes string stores passwords and usernames which should not be and cannot be modified once it is created. That is why Java people thought of making something which is non-modifiable and hence created a string class as unmodifiable and unchangeable. Now, interviewer will ask you, oh great, string is immutable. How will you prove it with a Java code? Since you are a coder, you should know a way to prove it. So I'll give you an example of it also. So my string S1 is code, okay? I'll empty my heap in string constant pool again. I'm going to play with literals only. So I'm going to play only in string constant pool. So if S1 is pointing to code, this is my object which has code in it. And it is pointed by S1. And it is pointed by S1. So string S1 equals to code. I'll keep my string S1 pointing to the same S1, but I just want to append one small word decode here. So how much difficult is it this for JVM to understand that I want, okay, you cannot declare it again. So I want my string S1 reference keep on pointing to S1, but just add one small word ahead of it. The JVM says, okay, your basics are wrong. String is unmodifiable and immutable. If you try to add anything, I will create a new object of it and will return the reference of it. So this is the code which can prove that string is immutable. How? Let me print it for you. So here in this case, if I try to print the hash code for code is something 215869. When you add something to S1, JVM says no, you cannot modify any string. So what will it do is, it will go here. It says, oh, okay, S1 is pointing to code. Okay, now S1, you are trying to modify it. So I will not do this. I will not just append decode here. I cannot do this because string is immutable. Rather, what will I do is, I'll create a whole new object for you with code decode here. A whole new object is created. And now, since you are again assigning it to S1, this S1 will stop pointing to code, but rather start pointing to code decode. So this is free now. but this is not eligible for garbage collection because string constant pool is not eligible for garbage collection. So S1 starts pointing to the new object and hence the hash code of both are different. So that's all I have for today. If you want to know some very frequently asked coding interview questions for string and arrays, if you've ever been stuck in such kind of string interview questions, just let me know in the comment section. I'll create a series where we will cover string interview questions and string coding interview questions also for you. Thank you.